Fire Sword Chapter 24. Taking the Capital, Part the 2nd. You know why we're here, right? Sully said as she looked down at Cordelia. The redhead had not spoken a word to either her or Sumia since they had come out into her tent to find her sitting on her cot with a vacant expression. Crom had charged the two women with rousing their comrade from her depression in time for the assault on the Valmese capital, something that both of them were eager to try, despite previous failings. So when she said nothing in response to Sully's question, the short-haired paladin grabbed the dark flyer up by the collar and jerked her to her feet, surprising Sumia somewhat. "I asked you a question!" Sully barked. Cordelia's only response was to maintain her blank look into space. Sully snorted in disgust and threw her back down on the cot, where she remained in a haphazard heap. "You're a real piece of work, you know that?" The tomboyish writer said as she glared down at the broken woman. "All them good looks, all that talent to boot, and as long as everything is all right for you, all of that can shine. But the minute you got some personal grief in your life, you throw away everything that comes in with those talents. You don't even deserve to be in the Shepherds, much less call yourself a Knight of Elise." Sumia knew that Sully was trying to get Cordelia angry enough to react, but she thought that the rough-spirited knight might be taking things a little too far. "Now, Sully, maybe we—" "No!" Sully barked, rounding on Sumia and startling the timid queen. "I'm sick and tired of all this pity-party crap. When my brothers got killed off in the last war, you know what I was told? Chin up and weapon sharp, girl. You're the next knight coming out of this household. I didn't get none of this holding hands crap. So don't expect me to be nice the minute little Miss Perfect gets a boo-boo." "Sully!" Sumia demanded a little more sharply. "Everyone deals with their grief differently. You can't expect Cordelia to just bounce back like you did." "The hell I can't!" Sully grinned. "If I could do it, so can little Miss Genius, and I..." Her cry was drawn out by Cordelia's fist smashing into the back of her head, sending her face first in the dirt. Sumia's gaze jerked up to see Cordelia standing tall with her fist still extended, eyes wide, but pupils still small, a sure sign of madness. The Queen of Elise gulped nervously as Sully turned around on her back with a wide grin to say, "Ah, that's the spirit. So you were still in there somewhere." "Don't call me by that name," Cordelia said with a slight growl lurking in her throat. "Nobody gets to call me by that name." "Or else what?" Sully said as she leaped to her feet. "Genius." Cordelia moved faster than Sumia had ever seen her move and slugged Sully in the gut, causing her to double over. This was followed by a knee to the face, which broke Sully's nose and blood sheeted down her face. "Oh yeah," the knight grinned. "That's the genius we all know." Another blow and she was on her back, laughing weakly. Sumia just looked on, petrified by the sight of her best friend beating the living daylights out of one of their most reliable comrades. "Tell me something," Sully gasped as Cordelia planted her foot on her comrade's chest. "You have so much fire. Why aren't you burning the one that's done this to your guy?" "He wasn't..." Cordelia began softly despite her intense face. "Bull," Sully snorted despite her injuries and position. "You were way in decline, and it's not hard for anyone to see that he was the same about you. So quit your blubbering and go get the dastards responsible for killing him." "But I can't," Cordelia said as she stumbled back off Sully's body. "I can't keep on like this. I can't lose any more comrades." "Well, then it's a good thing we've got Robin," Sully grunted as she stood up with Sumia's help. "Klein got himself killed because he didn't have Robin's brains. Actually, matter of fact, he went against what Robin's brains said to do, which was let the cons go alone. The idiot volunteered to go die. That wasn't anybody's fault but his." "No, it was Walhart's for killing him," Sumia argued. "Yeah, right, what she said." Sully grinned crookedly as Cordelia looked with a film of tears in her eyes. "So this time, let's all do what Robin says and go home alive. Now let's get some revenge while we're at it, huh?" "But I don't want to hear it," Sully barked. "The only thing I want to see you do is get dressed for war, then mount that big ugly Walhart's head on that spear of yours." "But what if Robin's plan fails like it did with Exalt Emran?" Cordelia said in a hollow voice. "He's not infallible." "Fuck!" This time it was Sully's turn to be surprised as Sumia punched her best friend in the face. "Don't blame Robin for that," she shouted. "He did his best, which is a lot more than I could say for you these past few weeks. Let's not forget, nobody in the Shepherds have died since. Not to mention, he managed to get justice for Emran despite his failing. Don't justify your weaknesses with his losses, because unlike you, he managed to learn from them." By the end of the rant, Sumia was red-faced and nose-to-nose with her best friend. "Robin hasn't lost anyone close to him," Cordelia tried, but the others wouldn't have it. "You really believe that? Then you don't deserve to be called a shepherd." Sully said thickly, her speech a bit muddled because of the trauma her head had been through. Everyone knows that Robin takes every loss personally. You saw how he was crying when he heard about Klein's death. You know how bad Emran's death hurt him? Hell, it hurt all of us. But did that stop him from doing what needed to be done? Look, Cordelia, we all miss Klein, Sumia cut in. But nothing we do will bring him back, whether it's sulking in our tent or conquering the conqueror. Is this supposed to make me feel better? Cordelia said dryly. I didn't finish, Sumia said sharply, causing her friend to flinch. My point was going to be that since Klein isn't coming back, we need to make sure that everything he ever did doesn't go to waste. And while he may not be coming back, at least we can say we did his legacy honor. Cordelia felt the familiar rush of adrenaline course through her body as she thrust her spear high over her head and let loose her war cry in unison with the rest of the shepherds. Klein's fierce yet goofy grin was clear in her memory, the exact expression she knew that he would be wearing were he here today. And he was here in spirit, she knew, just as her sister-in-arms had been since the beginning of the Second War with Plesia. You're looking all fired up, Morgan grinned from behind her. Ready to go throw down on those losers? As ready as one can be, Cordelia replied with a feral grin of her own. Shepherds! Robin cried. Advance! Together, the heroes of Elise charged. The Pegasi took off, each one carrying 2 passengers. Cordelia was riding double with Robin's daughter, Morgan, while Sumia was flying with a somber child named Marth. Lifa, Sinon, and Yui flew by them, keeping pace easily as they shot through the sky toward the walls of the city. As they drew close to the massive stone structure, Cordelia cast her throwing spear with all her might and accuracy, impaling one of the guards that had taken aim at Sumia's mount. Nice shot, Morgan called to be heard above the wind. But can you do this? Opening her yellow tome, the girl cast Arc Thunder, striking down 3 more archers in the same instance. I could if I had the tome for it, Cordelia shouted back, slightly annoyed at the younger girl's attempt to one-up her, and the fact that it had worked. Unfortunately, I don't have the time. My orders are to drop you off and regroup with the others. Yeah, I know, Morgan giggled. It was my idea. Then let's see if you're as good at carrying through a plan as your old man, Cordelia shot back. Get ready to drop. Who's waiting? Morgan laughed as she switched her yellow tome for a green one, just before she leaped off the black Pegasus. Cordelia watched with wide eyes as the girl unleashed an Elwyn spell to slow her descent as she landed between 2 very surprised archers. She is definitely Robin's child, she thought with a shake of her head as she wheeled her mount around to rejoin the other shepherds. Morgan landed perfectly with a roll and immediately sprung to her feet while turning to face the archer on her left with a bright smile. Hi there, she said brightly. We're taking over the city, so if you want to get hurt or die, you better leave your post now. The man responded by dropping his bow and drawing a sword. Morgan sighed and blasted him off the wall with an Arcwind spell. Can't say I didn't warn you, she called in response to his scream as he fell to his death. She ducked under a wild sword swipe from the man behind her, who moved to kill her while she was occupied with his companion. Seriously, we're taking over the city, she said as she turned around. Before she could issue the same warning to this guard, a long and straight blade protruded from his chest, and he fell with a choked gurgle. Hey, she complained as Marth kicked him off his sword. I didn't get to finish giving him a chance to surrender. You know as well as I do that they have all been but brainwashed by Walhart, Marth said coldly as he strode past his twin. They won't surrender even unto torture. Why prolong their suffering any more than necessary? Without another word, he ran to the nearest tower, dispatching 2 more guards as he went. Man, regular ray of sunshine on the battlefield, isn't he? Sinon muttered as she took aim and shot another soldier further down the wall. Like you can talk, Lifa said with a grin as she blasted his partner with an Elwyn spell. I used to consider you the gloomy gus of our group till I met some of these shepherds. Thanks for telling me that, Sinon said tightly. It's nice to know that I'm so highly regarded by my comrades. Did I say that out loud? Lifa said with a nervous grin. I meant can it, Sinon said as she sniped another archer. Let's just focus on taking out these guards while the kids find the gate mechanism. Sure thing, Lifa said, all business. Looking out over the battlefield, she said, if everything goes according to plan, the others will be here in 10 minutes. What about the legion of troops in front of the gate? Sinon said dryly as another arrow flew away. What's Robin's plan for beating them in less than 5 minutes? He didn't tell you? Lifa asked as she used an Arcwind spell to smash 4 oncoming enemies over the wall and into the city. Watch and learn, sister. Marth and Morgan did most of the combat on the way down the stairs, although Yui did knock out a half-dozen guards with an intense light burst that flattened them against the wall before they dropped like so many potatoes. She also stunned a younger man by hitting him in the head with her healer staff. Marth took the opportunity to ask the enemy soldier where the controls for the gates were. At first he refused to cooperate, but when Morgan let her sadistic side show by threatening to make him bleed fire with her magic, he swiftly told them where they could open the gate. The twins bound him with ropes and forced him to lead the way at sword point. While Yui appeared uncomfortable with the way that the twins conducted themselves in battle and how they got their information, she said nothing on the matter. If this would help save the lives of the shepherds, she wouldn't interfere with it. She just hoped that she wouldn't have to kill anybody herself. They found the gate's counterweights and got to set them open for reinforcements. While they did, Yui noticed that Martha's right sleeve was stained red with blood, and it was accompanied by a slash in the fabric. "Martha, you all right?" she asked him as she moved over to look closer at the wound. He replied as he looked over at her, then down at his arm. "I hadn't really noticed it," he said as he examined the wound. "Here, let me heal it," she offered as she placed a hand over the cut. "No, save your power for later," he tried to say as she covered the gash, but she moved his hand aside. "We have plenty of power, and I don't want to risk this thing getting infected," she said as white light emanated from her hand. "Wait," Martha said sharply as the cut began to seal. "Shouldn't you at least use a staff?" "Not for something this small," Yui said as the light faded and his arm was revealed to be whole once more. "See? Good as new." "Yes, well," Martha stopped himself and smiled at the girl. "Thank you, Yui Kirigaya." "Just Yui is fine," the girl giggled. "I know you hate it when people call you Prince Marth, so just think of it like that, okay?" "Very well," the boy said hopefully. Before he could say any more, a loud horn blast reverberated through the city, prompting the teenagers to look at one another. "Was that?" Martha said hopefully. "The city's retreat call?" Morgan finished. "I imagine so. Let's get these gates open. "What?" the lad they had captured earlier said. "How is that possible?" "You don't know our dad," Morgan grinned. Crom whistled at the destruction strewn about him while Robin dusted off his gloves. "I'm still surprised that worked," the prince muttered. "That makes two of us," Robin said heavily. "Nice work, Kirito." "Hey, it was your kid's idea," the black swordsman grinned. "You should be thanking her. I just fine-tuned the plan a bit." "Speaking of which," Robin said as he looked at the massive gate, which was starting to groan as it opened. "Looks like they succeeded as well." "Never doubted him for a second." Kirito grinned brightly. "Your kids are pretty special, Robin." "Yours is too, you know," the tactician replied, though the others could tell that he was pleased to hear somebody else praise his children. "Now let's get in there and give Walhart hell." "You heard him!" Crom shouted at the others. "Fairies and Pegasi in the air. Start targeting mages. Cavalry in the front. Foot soldiers stay with your spellcaster at all times." Sire?" Saji said nervously as she floated on her wings above the three men. "What is that over there?" The other men turned to look in the direction they had come from. All of them paled as they saw the banners of the dynast that had betrayed them flying high above the armed men and women that carried them. Robin?" Kirito said nervously. "Plan B?" "Take as many as we can with us," the tactician said shortly. "I figured," Kirito said in resignation. "No, wait," Sayuri said as she ran up to the commanding officers. "Look again, my friends. See what else they bear." Robin was the first to see it. "Is that?" "No way," Kirito breathed. Alright, so for chapter 24, the second part of taking the capital, we kind of get to see, some tough love from Sumia and Sully. From Sully, I expected it, but then I was like, let's give Sumia a chance to break out of character a little bit. So that was fun to write. Then there was, there's the attack on the walls led by Marth and Morgan. And for the most part, they're displayed as pretty fun-loving kids that like to hang out with their dad. Although I gave Marth a pretty different personality to what the male Morgan has in the original Fire Emblem series, and that's starting to show a lot more as we see him in battle and how he treats his opponents. He's a lot more cold and calculated, while Morgan is still, kind of peppy, but at the same time, it's like, I would not want to go up against her. And then there's Yui, who so far we've managed to keep. She's managed not to kill anybody, but it's clear she's pretty nervous. She gave her a chance to show some sympathy. How she's kind of the angel in the battlefield. Like everybody else is like, we got to kill these guys. They're gonna kill us first. And she's taking the time to, no, slow down, let me help you before you go and get yourself hurt worse. Got a little bit of humor with Crom and Robin and Kirito. Those are always the fun parts of this story. The leaders, not butting heads per se, but just having a difference of opinion. Those, I always love that. But I don't know, you guys, I know that my last couple audio series haven't been too good. I've been fighting something in my throat. I'm trying to put out these videos anyway. But thanks so much for having a listen, you guys. Please like, subscribe, share with your friends. If you're feeling so inclined, please do find me on Patreon. If you can donate however much, I really appreciate it. I've been getting a little bit more in the way of sponsors again, which has been really great. So I want to send a shout out to Will Underwood, who's my biggest Patreon donor right now. Thanks so much for your support, man. It means a lot to me. And look out for the next chapter coming out here in a couple days. And until then, I hope you guys have a good one. Red Swordsman out.